National Hockey League and the Altitude Sports Radio Network. This is Altitude Sports Radio 92.5. Post-game coverage of Colorado Avalanche Stanley Cup playoff hockey continues now. It's a special edition of Between the Pipes with Alex Ryanemi at number 38 in Rhino and Mark Springer at the top of section 136 at Ball Arena. You're Between the Pipes.
Taves will wind it all the way around for Nathan MacKinnon. Again, long change here in the overtime. MacKinnon for Jonathan Drouin, and he's outworked by Mikko Rantanen. Marchment picks it up. Tries to go in on Taves, throws him aside. Marchment out in front, and they score. Tyler Seguin wins it in overtime, and the Stars take a 2-1 series lead.
Avs fall in overtime for the second game in a row in the Western Conference quarterfinal, this time at home as Tyler Seguin ends it after the Avs fail to score on 6 power play opportunities, including a double minor at the end of regulation that extended into the overtime period. Seguin's second of the series, assisted by Mason Marchment and Mikko Rantanen at the 5:31 mark of overtime. Avs fall now 1-2 in the series, and it feels as though their season is on the line come Saturday to try and get a split and head back to Dallas even at 2. Welcome into Between the Pipes here on Altitude Sports Radio 92.5, live on Twitch, on X, on YouTube as well, at Altitude Sports Radio. I'm Alex Ryanemi. You guys know me better as Raj, joined as always by my co-host, my partner, the radio machine, Mark Springer, who is live from just above section 136 in Ball Arena, and at a closed down number 38 here in Rhino. I'll be hanging out with you guys for the next hour, and this one feels way worse than game number 2, and there's a couple of reasons why. Absolutely unacceptable play on the power play, and even more so, unacceptable power play personnel decisions made by this coaching staff tonight, and that is the reason why you're down 2-1 now.
The power play was terrible. Overall, you know what this reminded me of? And it was, I had deja vu, Raj. You were out at number 38 in Rhino tonight. I was at Ball Arena, so we were up in our usual press area. Usually, you know, in years past, you'd be sitting right next to me. And I had deja vu. It reminded me of sitting in the exact same spot that I was a couple years ago for that Avs Kraken series. And for whatever reason, in Seattle, the Avs played pretty well. At home in that Seattle series, they were rather lifeless, and I felt like I time traveled. I felt like I was watching Avs Kraken from 2023, the Ball Arena home games all over again. So, I mean, it wasn't just the power play. It was 5-on-5. I didn't like the officiating in this game, but that's not the reason that they lost. The reason they lost was sloppy play, lackluster play, uninspired play. And then, yeah, on the power play. Like, yeah, I don't understand. You know me, Raj. I want Valeri Nichushkin on power play 1. It just strikes me when I see the lineup that they throw out there on PP1 tonight, and that they have been in the past, you know, however many games since they switched things up. It's just too small. They are too small with Drouin and Lehkonen. MacKinnon's not the biggest dude. Makar isn't the biggest dude. Your biggest dude is Marty Necas. There's no size at all on that power play. And then I think Drouin on that right wing is not doing much. They've got to figure out what
not
to do.
Doing much is giving him a lot of credit, Mark Springer.
Well, he finally gets a look at the end of this double minor. He shoots it high. Look, Lehkonen almost ends this game. Watching from the press area, I thought Lekkonen's look in the bumper was shot wide. No, it was blocked by Esa Lindell. It's a good block by the Stars defenseman. Lehkonen got a look, but it took you 3.5 minutes to finally get a good look on net of a double minor. You're at home, and overall, the power. I mean, Makar's fumbling pucks. That was a thing on the power play a lot tonight. It was just odd that they look so much better in games 1 and 2 in Dallas, and just average as heck tonight.
Average, again, I think, is doing a lot of leg lifting there.
Sure.
Atrocious is more along the lines of what the power play was. The zone entry was terrible. The net front presence was not good enough until the end of regulation when it was elite. But then again, there's a chance right at the end of the game where Drouin does make a good play and he slides one across the crease, and Natchez is on the wrong side of his defenseman. You make the comment that the Avs power play 1 right now, well, it feels too small. It's not like it's years previous when the Avs didn't have anything to combat that, where the roster was just too small. What did they do this year? They got bigger down the middle. They added players who have played power play net front. They've added Gabe Landeskog to the lineup as of tonight, and they made the conscious decision not to change anything. I love Jared Bednar as a head coach. I think he's one of the top 5 coaches in the National Hockey League tonight. I have never been this furious with these decisions in the lineup than I have been tonight. The entire game, from power play 2 on, you knew it was not going to work, and you had the bodies available to you to make the decisions as early as the first period, and you decided not to make those decisions, and that loss is on your coaching staff. I'm focusing on the power play right now. The play in the first and second period in terms of the puck management was simply not good enough. They were not good on the offensive blue line. They didn't get pucks deep. They had too many turnovers. They played with the puck when they had possession in the offensive blue line and got things poked back out to the neutral zone. And as a result, you were a perimeter team tonight. But the game was won and lost on special teams tonight. Dallas goes 1 of 3. You go 0 of 6. And it was lost. Yes, the players were not good enough, but it is on the coaching staff. The onus is on the coaching staff to realize that early on and make the requisite changes. This is not years past when they don't have the roster to do so. You were not big enough. You were not strong enough in the middle of the ice to make sure that you could get those pucks through and bang home a rebound in front. And you simply chose not to make the change. And it's unacceptable tonight.
Yeah, without Nichushkin on power play 1, I don't know what their middle of the ice, what their slot and net front presence is. It really is just Lehkonen in the bumper, Lehkonen in the slot, and Natchez is kind of mostly just occupying. He's not directly net front. He's kind of off to the side near the crease, just chilling there, and he'll float a little back to the left wing where we often see Nathan MacKinnon. And, man, there was one look that Natchez got on that left wing, and he shattered his stick. He blew that thing up. He didn't come close to making clean contact on a one-time slap shot. So Natchez, they've gotten away from moving him around. He's not a net front presence, yet they're not even putting him net front. They're putting him net adjacent, and he's just kind of there. Natchez is just kind of there in that position instead of moving him around, moving MacKinnon around, and there is no big body net front for tips, for screens, any sort of physical play, decoy play. That's where I want Nichushkin. Hell, it's where I want Landeskog out there. They are lacking that, and they are also lacking a right-wing threat. Drouin is not that. Landeskog could possibly help with both net front and right wing. But I will say this. I'll talk about Landeskog right now. I thought overall, considering this was his first game in 3 years, he was fine.
He was fine.
And he had moments.
Which is better than atrocious.
No, there were moments, especially first, second, early third, where I thought Landeskog was one of the more composed players, which is interesting because I'm sure his heart was beating a mile a minute and he was nervous as all heck. Had the first game in 3 years jitters, yet he showed a certain composure to him. Now, back half of the third, it's the opposite of the second Eagles game that I adored so much. Back half of the third, and he was out there in overtime. I didn't even really notice him on power play, too. I didn't even really notice him. He started to fade a little bit. There was one play mid-late third period where Landeskog kind of dumps a puck in, then he gets kind of tripped up, and he's slipping on banana peels a little bit. So he started to fade a little bit as this game went along. But overall, I thought he was fine. And given their other options, given the net front and right wing options that they have, left-handed shots that they have, even hasn't played in 3 years and looked just okay, Landeskog, I'd still like to see him on power play 1. That's how bad it was tonight.
I completely agree. And if your issue with Landeskog is that at 5-on-5 there wasn't much creation, there wasn't much space, that's okay. You can find a way to shelter him in 5-on-5 minutes. Using him on the power play is where you should be able to do it. Those are curated minutes that are just given to you as a coaching staff. And again, you simply made the decision to bash your head against the wall for 65 minutes today. It made no sense to me that this coaching staff simply decided not to make the change. And even if it wasn't Landeskog that was going to pop in on power play number 1, you still have bodies that could have helped you. You still have other players that could have slotted in for Drouin, for Natchez. You could have thrown and Brock Nelson did slot in there on power play 1 a lot this evening, but you could have had Nichushkin, McKinnon, Nelson. Hell, put Logan O'Connor out there. The only line that was stellar all evening long was shocker, the 4th line. It was a bad game all around, and again, they were good enough to win the hockey game. Their coaching staff was not. And as a result, you're now staring 0-4 in the face against Pete DeBoer. And you must win on Saturday. Absolutely must win on Saturday as a result. The coaching staff has to be better on Saturday for this series to go the Avs' way. And you know what? This is what a Western Conference final should feel like. Unfortunately, we're getting the Western Conference final in round 1 right now. But this is what a West final should feel like. It's very evenly matched. And Dallas is just doing the right things at the right time. I just don't think any of the proper buttons were pushed tonight behind the bench for a team that looked like they didn't have it all tonight.
Well, what's frustrating is that Dallas didn't play particularly well tonight. And, man, if the Avs had played like they did in games 1 and 2, they win this game. Raj, how much of this was there a Landeskog distraction factor? I was actually kind of thinking about this on my drive to ball from the station after we did the Blitz tonight, and I was thinking about it, and I was like, man, you know, all I wanted to talk about on the Blitz was Landeskog. And it wasn't even, and granted, you know,
this should be the Landeskog postgame show. That's the other thing that is so frustrating about this.
But, and I'm sure, you know, it's like there's a similarity but also a stark difference to Game 3 against Dallas last year, the first home game. That was a distraction night because Nichushkin had to up and leave an hour before puck drop. And here tonight, an hour before puck drop, it's news that Landeskog is returning for the first time in 3 years. And I'm sure, much like last year in the dressing room, in the Avs locker room, there was malaise, a shock factor, a kick in the groin factor of, holy crap, Nichushkin's gone again. This time, it's a more euphoric distraction. It's a more positive distraction, but a distraction nonetheless that kind of takes away from, hey, we have a mission right here, because it felt like there was a lack of cohesiveness tonight.
You know what? And you know how that could have been fixed? Play the player in Game 1 or Game 2.
Sure.
That's how you could have fixed this for
point.
Game 3. That's the reason why you should have done this in Game 1 or Game 2 when you had the opportunity. I think the personnel decisions through 3 games have been mind-boggling.
I will say, especially Game 2 with Colton out, and you lose. We have the benefit of hindsight a little bit. They lost that game either way, so that would have been the perfect spot to. And we wanted him. Like we were miffed in the post-game show. We were calling for it before the game. You know, line up miscues from the lineup card miscues from the NHL aside, we wanted. Now you knew all day he wasn't going to play, but we wanted him to play in the post-game show after Game 1. We knew Colton was hurt. You were playing with house money in a way. You'd stolen the game in Dallas. Game 2 was so many people were saying, "Oh no, you want the emotional boost at home," but we were saying, "Hey, maybe you want to get some of the jitters out of the way."
No doubt.
In Game 2, actually.
Yeah, and I suppose maybe if the changes get made on Saturday, I would expect there to be changes on the power play on Saturday. But if you had played Landeskog in Game 2, you would have realized the power play wasn't good in Game 2 either.
Sure.
The only reason why the power play looks good is because Nathan MacKinnon scores early on your power play. The rest of them were not good whatsoever. I could go back to Game 1 and go, was the power play good in Game 1? I really don't think it was that excellent. So maybe those decisions could have been made today where you look back on Game 2, Landeskog's in there, the power play doesn't do well, and you go, all right, maybe we make some changes, and those get enacted in a pivotal Game 3, looking to take a 2-1 series lead, where now Dallas has a 70% chance to win the series after going up 2-1. You should have been able to do that from Game 2 to Game 3, and now you're doing it from behind the 8 ball. I don't get it.
Yeah, let's see. Game 2, they were
1 of 4.
1 of 3 on the power play, and that was the MacKinnon. That was the MacKinnon goal early in the game, like you said. And Game 1, wasn't there one power play goal, the MacKinnon one, that kind of deflected the flubber off of a Stars player in the slot?
Yeah, and game was Game 1 or Game 2 where you had the 5-on-3? Game 2.
Game 2 was where you had the 5-on-3 early.
Yeah,
and
we
thought that was a bad sign early on.
You did nothing on the 5-on-3. You get another gift power play late in regulation in Game 2. You did nothing there. So maybe those panic bells should have been.
Game 1 was the 5-on-3. Game 1 was the 5-on-3.
Well, the point is the same. You didn't do anything on either one of the power plays, so maybe had you played Landeskog in Game 1 or Game 2 and realized that those problems were already happening, you don't have to make that decision from a point of weakness now rather than a point of strength after Game 1 or a point of even matchup after Game 2.
Why these lineup? Why did they take Nichushkin off of power play 1? That was the thing that they did from the start of the series, right? At the very least, they did it in Game 2. I'm trying to go back and look at Game 1. Why even make that move? I couldn't
tell you, Spring.
That feels like an unnecessary move, and they put Lehkonen back in. And I like Lehkonen in that bumper spot, but this team needs a big net front presence. And we have talked about, look, Nathan MacKinnon and Jonathan Drouin, the chemistry that they have going back to their Halifax Moosehead days. And somehow Drouin does get elevated. Everyone gets elevated by playing with Nathan MacKinnon. I mean, Mikko did. Everybody does. Drouin and MacKinnon do have good chemistry together. But what is the fascination with putting Jonathan Drouin, a guy who is not going to make more than like $4 million a year on the open market? What is the fascination with putting him back on the top line to start this game tonight with Nathan MacKinnon, to leave him on power play 1? Is it simply the Nathan MacKinnon factor?
You think you're going to get the most out of Drouin when you handcuff him to MacKinnon. That has to be it. It has to be it.
Because he is, and I don't think Nate has played well, but to me Drouin is the weakest of the top 6. And they really are one top. If Drouin is going to play like this, hell, if Natchez is going to play like this. And Natchez is not playing like he was in that month or two post-acquisition from Carolina. He's dipped a little bit. They are missing a bona fide top 6 winger outside of Nichushkin right now. In a perfect world, Landeskog ramps up real quick. After tonight, I'm not overly optimistic about that, but that's kind of the medicine right now. They're banking on a guy who hasn't played in 3 years to play at an elite top 6 wing level, because they're not getting that from anybody on this team outside of Valeri Nichushkin right now.
They certainly are not. Make sure you guys get your playoff tickets for Game 4. I think it's going to be a raucous environment. They're in high demand. It's your chance to secure your spot. Join our limited ticket priority list for exclusive ticket discounts, last-minute game day tickets, and more. Sign up now by visiting coloradoavalanche.com/limited tickets. That is coloradoavalanche.com/limited tickets. We've talked about the power play. The next thing that we need to uncover, what is going on with Cale Makar? That's next on Between the Pipes. Welcome back inside number 38 in Rhino Between the Pipes. Alex Rhinemi alongside Mark Springer, who is above section 136 at Ball Arena. Altitude Sports Radio wants you to be in the building for game number 4, so tune in to Altitude Sports Radio 92.5 all day on Friday for your chance to win a pair of tickets for Saturday's game 4. Don't forget, you can always buy tickets at coloradoavalanche.com, but you can win them from your exclusive home for Avalanche hockey. That's Altitude Sports Radio 92.5. Spring, we've been going in on the power play and the decisions made or not made by the coaching staff as to who should actually be out on the ice there. What we haven't gotten into is Cale Makar has struggled this series. And not only has he struggled in terms of actually providing offense, where he had a 30-60 season, the first one that we've seen since 1989 in Paul Coffey. But he loses his man on the back check in overtime. He has been a turnover machine. If you look at the expected goals for percentage, Cale Makar is normally one of the top 3 players on the Avalanche every single night. He's down there in the 35-40 percentile in this evening's game when you look at it on moneypuck.com. He's back in the region of Lindgren, O'Connor, Kelly, who are guys who, just as a result of expected goals, which, it's based off of, like, again, how much you play and how much offensive opportunity that you have. So, like, guys who play more typically have a better chance to garner more expected goals percentages. So when you are down there as a guy who's playing 28 to 30 minutes in an overtime game like tonight, it's not a good sign.
He did lay 4 hits tonight, did Cale Makar. Only 3 shots on goal, however, for Cale. And he had 6 shots on goal in the last game. But look, overall, just 2 assists in this series, 1 in game 1, 1 in game 2. Yeah, the biggest – so I mentioned the 4 hits because one thing I am noticing from Cale, and I noticed it tonight, he laid a couple hits that, credited with 4, but a couple of noticeable hits. So there is a physical brand to his play that he has upped this year, and he is using his body defensively. Okay, maybe a couple miscues defensively, but I think he's been rather sound defensively, which is ironic. And, he's a defenseman. You want that. You need that. But Cale Makar, and especially for this team, they need him offensively. And he has been odd, despite 6 shots on goal in the previous game, only 3 tonight. His shots aren't dangerous. He's not getting looks in space. He's not pinching up in the O-zone as much. Maybe he's concerned about getting beat defensively.
I think he might be, because the Avs they have not managed pucks well the whole series. That might be part of the equation.
Yeah, maybe because, man, Cale, when he's at his best, is sometimes, he takes some risks and tries to push more towards the slot, into the face-off circle area of the slot as a D-man. And he's very deep right now. He's playing very deep and conservatively. I don't know. He did have one look tonight. It was a good Cale play where he was calling. I think it was a power play. He's calling for a puck from McKinnon. He's banging his stick. McKinnon has it high left wing. Makar's high right wing. And he pounds his stick on the ice, says, I see an open play. Get it to me. Natchez is wide open, backdoor diagonally, down net front from Cale. And Cale sees it. And Cale, this is the vision. We've seen Cale make plays like this all the time, but Cale misses the pass. Doesn't put it where it needs to be on Natchez. So, yeah, something is just a little off with Cale Makar right now.
And maybe it's as simple as Cale turns into Cale Makar. He turns into the best defenseman on earth, and then the Avs win the hockey game coming up on Saturday. It could be that simple. There are just simply too many ghosts right now on the roster, even with a Dallas team, and they are built to withstand injury, right? That is a Peter DeBoer team. You are built to be almost positionless, right? You're built to have 9 centermen on your forward roster, so guys can walk in and win faceoffs left, right, and center for you. They're built to withstand the Robertson and Heiskanen injury. The Avs right now, they're not built to be able to have 3, 4, 5, 6 guys be kind of worthless in a hockey game. And if Drouin's going to be that player, if Makar is going to be that player, if Nichushkin outside of the goal is going to go pretty quiet, if Natchez is going to be that type of guy, then it's going to be a really tough series to overcome. Now, do I think Robertson's going to get back into this lineup? No, I don't think he's playing in this series. Heiskanen's still a possibility as early as Saturday, but I think it does start with Makar being better, because so much of this team's offense begins and ends with him. I do believe part of this lack of aggressiveness from him is because he sees guys in front of him fumbling pucks and not managing blue lines well, and it goes back to Game 2. They were very good in Game 1, although the score was way farther away, 5-1, than what the game actually felt like. Felt more of a 3-1 with an empty netter type of game. It could be that he's a little bit gun shy because guys aren't putting pucks into the proper areas, kind of all across the ice.
And I don't think it's just a Kale thing. I think the defensive core in general, the only – and this is an Avs team, even though they are – they've really solidified their forward lines and have gotten much deeper since the trade deadline, they're still a team that needs offensive production from the blue line. And outside of the Manson – down low play to Taves, of all people, net front in Game 1, the entire D-core, it's not just Kale, the entire D-core, I can't think of one really dangerous play.
Manson late. Manson walking in late through the neutral zone nearly ended the game.
Okay. And look, Manson can do that. We have seen Josh Manson do some of what Kale does and what I talked about just a few minutes ago of getting in deeper. Taves in Game 1 got very deep, but these are capable offensive defensemen. Makar, Taves, Gerard, Josh Manson. We've seen since the Cup season he can do that as well. Ryan Lindgren has had a couple moments as an Av, but I still, my tape on him is limited, and I'm not quite seeing that from him overall. I know he scored a couple goals in the regular season, but Lindgren has, and I don't know if he's that type of player. He's more of a physical type defenseman. Malinsky was in the lineup tonight for Eric Johnson, and man, in the back half of the regular season, did Sam Malinsky have some good bombs that he would throw. I can't think of one moment tonight, and I know this is probably the biggest game of Sam Malinsky's career. I'm sure there were some jitters for him, just like there were for Landeskog. But Sam Malinsky, he's capable of more than what we saw from him tonight. He was a non-factor. Anytime he had the puck, he barely had the puck. This D-core needs to be more active offensively.
Avs faithful, the Stanley Cup playoffs are streaming on Altitude Plus. Sign up now and get exclusive access to a 3-day free trial. Use promo code ALTFREE. That's the letters ALT, the number 3, and FREE. The code must be redeemed at altitudeplus.com. The offer is subject to terms and conditions and ends on Thursday, April 24th. That is tomorrow. So if you guys want to get that 3-day free trial of Altitude Plus and guarantee that you're watching Saturday's Game 4, make sure you guys get into that. Again, ALT3 free. That is ALT, the number 3, and FREE at altitudeplus.com. We'll take our final time out of Between the Pipes, come back on the other side, tell you guys what happened around the rest of the National Hockey League in the playoffs, and get you ready for a pivotal, a must-win Game 4. Dallas, they were in this spot in Game 2. We told you, if they go down 2-0 at home, the series is over. If Colorado goes down 3-1 at home, the series is over. It's a must-win game on Saturday. We preview it next.
Avalanche Stanley Cup playoff hockey.
Welcome back to number 38. After Game 3, the Avs fall. Second straight overtime game to the Dallas Stars. 2-1 is the final at Ball Arena. Tyler Seguin scoring his second of the series to give Dallas a 2-1 win and a 2-1 series lead. Mark Springer live at section number 136 in Ball Arena. I'm at number 38 down in Rhino, thanks to our friends at Mountain Time, Milagro, and at Tullamore Dew Irish Whiskey. Avs fall 2-1. Frustrating, incredibly frustrating. I haven't been this upset, I think, on a post-game show, Spring, since the Ryan Graves double shin pad overtime loss against the Vegas Golden Knights the year prior to the Avs winning the Cup in 2022. Talk me off the ledge.
Well, like I said to start this show, and I was thinking this as this game went on, and it's funny because, man, what an atmosphere to start this game. I thought we would be talking so much more so about things of that nature tonight. Landeskog's return, the introduction, the start of this game, buildings on fire, the pop for Landeskog. And it felt like, I was saying to some people up in the press area during the game, midway through this game, I was like, if you're a hardcore hockey fan, but you got a friend or friends who don't like hockey that much, you'd have been like, yo, you got to watch this game tonight.
Right.
This guy Landeskog is back. This building's going to be on fire. Landeskog's a very good player. His story, now these these people who haven't watched much hockey, they're watching the start of this game. They're like, yeah, you're right. This is awesome. And then midway through the game, they would have been like, bro, you tricked me. This game sucks. Like, how did it? And it felt like, they have this 1-0 lead, and I'm thinking, okay, is this going to be just like the dumbest, weirdest game ever where, it's this emotional, awesome start, and then it's like this really snooze fest 1-0, thanks for coming win. I had a feeling that was too good to be true. And so it reminded me of the Kraken series from 2 years ago, where I swear, when the Avs were in Seattle, they played pretty well.
Just a different team.
And then at home, for whatever reason, they just didn't have it. And you and I were sitting up in the press area, we're just like, what is this?
What is going on?
What are we watching? Like, this team sucks. But when we watch them in Seattle, and we'd be like, "Oh, there's the
cup-winning team.
There's the Avs. They're trying. They're flying. They're into this game." So I don't know. So I guess that's my hope for you, is they looked good in games 1 and 2 in Dallas, just like they did on the road in Seattle.
I agree.
So I don't know. Maybe there was we brought up the possible Landeskog, just the distraction, the emotions of everything. If they can just. Maybe this fires them up, and if they just get back to what they did in Dallas and played, cleaner. I mean, the passing tonight was atrocious. The spacing tonight was atrocious. I didn't obviously that holding call on Lehkonen in the third period before the McKinnon interference call that leads to the game-tying goal ultimately.
Right.
It was bound to happen the way that game was going, the way the Avs were playing. The Avs were playing with fire. Dallas was going to tie that game if Colorado kept playing that way. Okay. I didn't like the holding on Lehkonen. I thought that was weak as hell. Earlier in the game, the cross-check that was called, I didn't like that. I know the fans at Ball, probably a lot of people watching at home, didn't like the interference on McKinnon.
I see a lot of comments about, an awful officiating tonight, and I kind of agree, but when you double up your opponent on power plays and you get a double minor at the end of regulation,
sure,
that extends into overtime in a playoff game, what you don't get to do? Well, you don't get to complain about refereeing in that situation.
No, I'm with you 100%. 6 power plays for the Avs, 3 for Dallas, and here's the thing. That was interference on McKinnon. Yeah, and what don't like about that play is – maybe it's Drouin. Nate just is on the ice. There's another Avs player just adjacent, right next to McKinnon on that play. It was terrible spacing. The spacing on that breakout play was awful. It's like they didn't know where to be on the ice and how to actually get a flow on a rush going north to south with, a right wing, a left wing, and a center. There should not be two Avs players occupying 5 feet of ice in the neutral zone on a breakout pass right next to each other. So I don't know how we went from overall pretty good play in Dallas to whatever the hell we saw tonight.
It's got to switch up. Again, the way that I get talked off the ledge is that lineup changes are made, especially on the power play. If I see different looks on power play, then I'm happy. Then I think that this series can be tied, and if it's 2-2, it's a best of 3, and you are the healthier team right now. But you must win on Saturday, and the only way that I think that you can win on Saturday is by making actual, tangible lineup decisions and changes. It's not good when your best line today in terms of like puck possession and shot suppression and shot creation, while they didn't play all that many 5-on-5 minutes tonight, you know what your best line was just from a data perspective? It was Landeskog, Coyle, and Kivi Ranta. That was by far your best line. And that's a dude who hadn't played in 1,000 days. By far.
They didn't play much either.
They played like 5 minutes at 5-on-5 together. You know how many shots on goal they gave up?
I'm going to assume a low number.
0. The lowest number. 0. They generated 7 shots themselves in 5 minutes of 5-on-5 hockey. Now, why weren't they playing enough? What are we doing here, right? So you need to make tangible lineup decisions as a coaching staff to save this series. Can they do it? Yes, they can.
They were protecting Landeskog's knee. They were managing his minutes. It was very apparent what they were doing because Landeskog starts.
So are you protecting his knee and managing his minutes, or are you trying to win a damn hockey game? Are you trying to win a cup, or are you trying to protect the player? What are we doing here? It's not a sideshow.
I felt bad for Charlie Coyle midway through this game because I was like, oh, damn, like the third line is getting like skipped over a couple times here, even more so a little bit than the fourth line. And they were protecting Landeskog, managing his minutes, and Coyle had to. So therefore, he was off the ice a little bit more tonight. Kivi Ranta was off the ice a little bit more tonight. And yeah, I thought that one of their better offensive zone possessions was Landeskog patient, deep in the zone with the puck on his forehand, analyzing his options, and then realizing he had an open Kivi Ranta in the slot who fed him, who got a look on net for a one-time look. I thought it was a very patient, smart play by Landeskog. I wanted to see more of him tonight, not just because it was Landeskog night. I just thought he was providing some calm to a team that was almost out of their skis on their rushes.
Late in the third period, they put Landeskog out there with McKinnon and Coyle, and Landeskog makes a really good play on the short side corner to get above the puck, put a nice body check on. The Avs go side to side, get a shot from the point with like 3 dudes in front of the net, including Gabriel Landeskog. That's what the Avs need to do, is get net front presence and win pucks in the corner. They found it. They just didn't go back to it. I don't know what it was. I just don't think – I think your coaching staff lost you the hockey game today. While the players were not good, the coaching staff was even worse. They just need to be better. And if they are better and they make those changes on Saturday, the Avs are going to win that hockey game, and we have a 2-2, 3-game series moving forward in what was billed as the best series of the opening round. Before we get out of here, we only got a couple minutes, Spring. 2 other games tonight. 3-1 for the Capitals over the Canadiens with an empty netter with under a second to go. And then the Kings take a commanding 2-0 series lead with a 6-2 victory on the Oilers.
It looked like Edmonton was maybe going to do that comeback thing again. This was 3-0 Kings, and then it was 3-2. Oilers kind of cut into this thing. But, man, oh, man. Yeah, no Ekholm. I slept on the Kings a little bit. Now, but we'll see. You know, it's series ain't over till you lose at home. In this, if Edmonton goes down 3-0, then it's real danger time. But Draisaitl did score tonight, but man, he was banged up down the stretch. McDavid could possibly still be a little banged up. Your stars, if you're the NHL, and look, I know Dallas has Mikko now, but your stars, McKinnon, McCarr, McDavid, Draisaitl are all in dire situations
They're all
right
in
now.
trouble.
Yeah.
All right, Spring, that's going to do it for us. For Cole Smith, Mark Bertinoli, Connor McGahee, KJ Granderson back at our NHL Tonight studios in Lone Tree, Colorado, and for the radio machine, Mark Springer. My name's Alex Ryanemi. I'll wake up. I'll still be upset tomorrow, but I'll be a little bit more bushy-tailed and bright-eyed, and I'll find a way to get past this. Avs fall for the second straight game in overtime. Spring, we'll be live from right where you are sitting, just above section 136 on Saturday night after the Avs take on the Dallas Stars in Game 4. If you're looking for something to do tomorrow, for Game 3 of the LA Clippers and the Denver Nuggets, as well as the first round of the NFL Draft, come on down to number 38 in Rhino, Altitude Sports Radio 92.5. We'll be doing all of it. It's the only place that you need to be in Denver. Spring, get out of there, drive safe. I'll see you tomorrow, brother. Sun rises. And we will, again, moving forward, we'll remember this day as the day that Gabriel Landeskog returned after 1,032 days of being out of the National Hockey League. I won't remember this as an overtime loss. I'll remember this as a good thing.
Well, they're going
captain's back.
Raj, they're going to need the captain to captain up, because they're. I don't know if it's a speech. I don't know if it's just leading by example.
Or if it's marching into the head coach's office tomorrow and going, put me on the damn first power play unit. I'm going to save this team.
You know what? What you just said right there, I like that the most.
For Mark Springer, I'm Alex Ryanemi. This is Altitude Sports Radio 92.5. We'll talk to you tomorrow.